Puerto Rico, an island nestled in the Caribbean, nicknamed by some as the Enchanted Island, known for its crystal blue waters and cobblestone streets. Walk along any street in Old San Juan and Spanish influences everywhere, from street names like Calle de Cristo to the colorful building facades. But the Spanish weren't the only people to call this island home.
In Puerto Rico, nobody can tell that is white or this black or this because we in Puerto Rico are a melt from the Taino Indians that were the first who were here, and the Spaniard and the African, and we melted. So we the Puerto Rican are a melt of the three races.
This week on Inside Africa, a tropical isle that's food, dance and culture was shaped by Africans. The very first Africans arrived in Puerto Rico in the early 16th century, first coming as free men who accompanied invading Spanish conquistadors like Ponce de Leon. The Spaniards were quick to enslave the indigenous Taino Indians for labor in gold mines. But the harsh conditions of enslavement brought the Taino population to its knees. It dwindled quickly. With the labor supply shrinking, African slaves were shipped over to the island to work in the sugarcane fields. Here in Loaza, a former slave community now populated by descendants of slaves, among many others, Raul Ayala makes masks for island festivals. His work shows the influence of his African ancestors.
First of all, I have to select the coconut, and the coconut have three front. This one, and this one. Then I have to select the best of them to make the nose and the face. So I have to cut in the back with the machete. It's good. Then now let's take out the coconut. Now I'm going to take out the hard coconut. I will use different type of knife for different faces. And now I'm going to use the hammer. This is not a common hammer. You see, it have a big nose. Then I crack inside. But you have to know how to do this, because if you don't put too much pressure, you crack it here, and the coconut get damaged. I am making the space for the face, because this mask I use here in Loiza for the Santiago Apostol Festival, San James. And this festival became from the 16th century. Right now I am going to start to carve the mask, but I'm going to draw the mask that I want to carve. So I am drawing the mouths first, and now with the handsaw I'm going to make the cuts.
The masks represent a Spanish character called Vellagoante, an icon whose face was given a distinct look by the African inhabitants of Loaza.
Remember, this is a Spanish festival. It have influence from the Africans, because this town, Loiza, is the people of Loiza are mostly from African descent, and the 99% of the people here are African. We are African descendants. What is representing is the war between the Moors and the Spaniards. The Spaniards have to represent in the festival the Moor in a bad way. So the way that they represent the Moor is with a costume like a bat with wings and a horrible face with horns, because they don't wear Christian, they were the enemies. So here in Loiza, in July, every year we celebrate the festival to represent the Moors, and right now represent our town of Loíza. Because everywhere where you see a coconut mask, it's from Loíza. Here is the only place in the Caribbean where I make those masks in coconut. I am making the hole for the horns. And now we make the horns and the teeth. This is the teeth. It's supposed that I cut it with a handsaw, but it's there. I carve in the same coconut, but this, I put this two teeth with 2 sticks. Now let's make the horns. For the horns, I use the cluster of the coconut. That is there. Then I get one and then cut in the middle, and then I have to reduce it like this. Here are the 3 horns. So we are going to put it down. Here is the mask finished. Carved. The next stage is the painting. I always use very vivid color. Blue, yellow, red, black, white. Many colors. I use the color from my town of Loíza, that is green and yellow. And I have in this part outside of the mask, red, yellow, green, mostly those colors.
While Ayala continues to make his mark on a celebrated Loaza tradition, the influence of the slaves who lived here extends beyond the town itself. When we come back, it's time to taste the African roots of Puerto Rican cuisine. Stands with deep pans of crackling oil are common along roadsides in Puerto Rico. The snacks found at these stops are particular to this country for their blend of African, Spanish, and Taino Indian ingredients. These street-side snacks have translated to home cooking as well. Jesus Perez runs La Casita Blanca, an establishment known for its traditional cuisine in San Juan. A taste of any dish on the menu shows how the lives of African slaves influence popular Puerto Rican dishes today.
A lot of Europeans bring codfish to the New World to do food for slaves. Codfish is rich in protein, and you know the slave have to do a lot of work in the sugar cane, and one of the diet is the codfish of Norway. What we are doing here, it's bacalaitos. Bacalaito is a mix of codfish boiled with salted, and with the same water of the boiled codfish, we add in the water flour, the codfish boil, and cilantrillo, recao, onions, peppers, and we mix all that things in the flour. The codfish is inside. We mix the things to do a base. When this is all ready mixed, all the ingredients, we fry.
Besides codfish, there's another type of seafood traditional in slave dishes.
Crab in the part of Santurce used to be all over. And in this area, slaves from other colonies that was in war with Spain come refugee in this area. Slaves used to do a lot of dishes with crab, like the rice with crab, the crab in stew, the alcapurrias with crab, soup of crab.
One of the most traditional staples of Puerto Rican cooking draws its ties to African slaves.
We are making a sofrito. Sofrito, it's a mix of onions, peppers, cilantro, recao, garlic. Sofrito is used in most of the Puerto Rican plates for stew, for soup, for making beans, for a lot of Puerto Rican plates. It's the first thing that you do when you do stew. Since 1500s, we've been using sofrito in our plates. From African heritage cuisine, the stew, the soup, the rice, it's very important because it's the base of all plates.
From the base of dishes to making new dishes out of unwanted leftovers.
This is pegao. It's part of the rice. The slave owner don't eat the bottom of the rice. So they give it to the slave. They mix with rice or with a stew. And that's still a tradition in Puerto Rican food. I am one that I can eat it. I love to eat that. Mixed with the beans and with a good stew, it's very, very nice. And it's part of the tradition of the African heritage. Also, we have gandinga. It's the tribes of the pork. Remember that the owner of the slave give the part that they don't use, like tribes, lungs, heart, all that things was given to the slave. And the slave do with something small, something big.
Being innovative with the very limited means they were given wasn't only seen in cooking, but also in other aspects of life on the island for those being enslaved. They carried little to nothing on their transatlantic journey from Africa, and traditional musical instruments like drums had to be rebuilt using materials found in their new home.
This is a rum barrel. It's made of wood. It's probably as close as you're gonna get to what our native people from Africa, when they came here, are the guys that started doing the bomba drum.
The music made with these drums played a large role in the lives of slaves, not only as a tie to their homelands, but also as a release from the daily oppression they faced. Luis Rivera specializes in making the same style of drums used for the Bomba dance, something created by African slaves who came to this island. Each drum is handcrafted with painstaking patience.
You just cut the top and the bottom, and you'll probably end up with something that looks more like this. You see? And there are different sizes. So what we do to make it all even and they'll stick and be small and efficient at the same time, we'll probably use a tool like this, and we'll scrape the sides, and until they're quite as even, probably reducing it from a 15-degree angle to a 9-degree or a 10-degree angle. When we stick it all together, right, we'll probably end up with something looking more like this. As soon as you have that, you already have like the form of your barrel. The trick is to have it as rounded as possible. We use this. It's mixed between wood glue and some dust powder, and mix it like doing a paste type, like oatmeal, like dry oatmeal. And then we'll take each and every one of these one by one, taking one. We'll glue this side, and then take this one and glue this other side, and then just keep on gluing it until you glue every single one of them, because they're all the same angle. They're all the same degree, and you can hardly see the divisions. That's when you have it perfectly. If you can still see divisions after taking your center, then it's probably, you probably did something wrong. So you could fix it still, and you could smooth it out nice, and it'll still look nice, and it'll still be usable. You know, you still use it, but it's more professional just, you know, just to take your time and do it one by one, and just take your time when you're doing something like this, because it looks better. After this, you just take this metal pieces apart, just take them all out, leave the drum as it is, and then you'll take the same tool you used to shave the sides and shave the whole thing up. That's the trick with a bomba drum. Both sides should be the same size. If you're doing something different, like open up and a little bit narrower underneath, it'll probably sound like more like a conga instead of a bomba drum. In this bomba drum, we're gonna have 5 of these adjusters because of the size, and it'll sound perfectly. We use this little thing that I did here. It's a mold, and what I have here, and this specifically is a barbed wire, and I hammered in there, and I covered it with some, well, I think it's hay and some blue tape, and after welding it and all that, I left it there so it'll take that shape of a round, and if I take it out, it'll just fit in there real good. I'll take some wire and I'll wrap it around, and I'll take some skin, some goat skin, and I'll just put it in there and wrap it around too.
For Africans, these drums were made for dancing.
El tambor es una creación de Puerto Rico.
The drum is a Puerto Rican creation. We had several ethnic groups in Puerto Rico. The Indians that were here first, the Spaniards, and finally the Africans. We invented our own drum, looking at what the Indians had first, then the Africans, and then we joined both, and that is how our model came to be.
And one Puerto Rican family, led today by Modesto Cepeda, is doing just that. Bomba, a popular dance in Puerto Rico. It was created at the end of the 17th century by African slaves who worked on sugarcane plantations. They danced to celebrate life events like weddings and baptisms. The Cepeda family name goes hand in hand with the bomba dance. It began with a Cepeda patriarch 3 generations past, Rafael Cepeda Atiles. Today, his son, granddaughters, and great-grandson are the face and future of Puerto Rico's bomba.
Welcome to the Kinder Bomba class. This is where we give our classes for children from 4 years old to 8 years old. This is every Saturday from 10 to 11. Right now I have here some paintings from our different artists. This painting right here is Modesto Cepeda, my dad. He's the one that had the vision that we should pass our legacy of the bomba and the plena to children.
For 40 years, this Cepeda school has been teaching various bomba beats.
There's 2 main drums. There's the buleador and there's the primo. The buleador is the one that will keep the constant rhythm, whichever rhythm we pick, like the sika. He keeps playing that type of rhythm. The primo or subidor, he's the one that's going to do all the movement play, all the movements, piquetes. Piquetes are whatever we do with our hands, whatever we do with our feet and our skirt. And it's a challenge. The dancer is challenging the drummer. We're not following the drummer. The drummer has to follow me.
As you might imagine, the Cepedas have been the go-to teachers of these bomba rhythms.
I will play one of the traditional rhythms of the bomba, known as the sika. Now I will play the juda.
voy a interpretar el holandés, que
And
es el
the
otro ritmo
Holland.
de la bomba, que sería algo así.
Yet for the Sapitas, the Bomba dance represents more than a simple beat.
When there was the slaves and all that, that was like the relief. It was a time for them to party, to have a good time after they have worked all day, and they had permission for the evenings and for them to dance and to play the drums. And we have been told that the slave ladies, they would take whatever they can give it to them, and they would change them dresses and make into bomba dresses and the underskirts. The information that we're giving you is the information that was told to us by all our grandparents, our ancestors. This is like a storytelling, and you keep saying the story and trying to continue. And our grandparents will even correct us if we said, instead of Sika, say something else.
The history of how the Bomba dance came to be gives meaning to all of these people who can now dance openly.
Liberty, to be free, to be able to express ourselves, and for me to say that I'm going to dance because I want to just enjoy myself and not to think that I was mistreated all day, that I was mistreated to come in the afternoon just to dance and try to forget what I had to endure the next day.
And that drives the desire to pass this language of rhythm to future generations.
We have pride in everything that we do. If we do not continue our legacy, we don't have an identity. And we need to let everybody know we're Puerto Ricans and we're a mixture of African, Indian, and of Spanish. If you lose your culture, you have nothing.
You can see more of our programs at cnn.com/Inside Africa. And tell me what you think right now of Puerto Rico's African influence on Twitter under Errol CNN. We'll see you online. Until next time.